a lot to actually leave a position at the top of the game in his field and to get to the point where he decided to come and just give back to everybody. That actually, I don't know if I've ever told him this personally, but that actually takes a lot of faith in humanity that most people don't have. So the fact that these gentlemen up here on our esteemed panel as part of this Pensole Footwear Design Academy experience are here to share their journey and tell you what they do. It's kind of like the ultimate gift, if you will, because with everybody here in the room, I don't think that enough of the conversations take place that allow us to kind of ignite that spark and pursue that passion. So hopefully with these gentlemen here, who I will allow to introduce themselves, it'll spark something in you that allows you to say, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. So without further ado, I'm going to go down the line and allow them to introduce themselves and tell their stories to you. And again, don't sit on any questions. Please do what you can, because it might be a question that somebody else in here has that they were just thinking the same thing and may not have decided to just project it forward, but by all means, this is a feedback thing. We're going to give and receive feedback based on these three gentlemen's journey that they're going to share. And hopefully when everybody leaves, or as many of you as possible, when you leave, you're either reinvigorated or inspired. We all good on that?
Sure.
All right. So we're going to run down the line. We'll start here. Right beside me, sir, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. Antoine Orr. I'm the Flagship Marketing Manager for Footlocker.
Next up.
Jonathan Riley. I am a former music manager for Nike, now a co-founder, and with my teammate Ego Belly for Better.
Last but certainly not least.
How you doing? Rich Lopez, currently at SoleCollector/Complex magazine. Before that, I founded and ran one of the first sneaker blogs ever created, kicksandthecity.com, for 10 years.
All right, so again, a round of applause for these gentlemen. So first, we know where you are at the moment. Well, let's start it off where it began. So we'll start on the opposite side first, but you started off with Great Note Rich. Where did this all begin for you?
Well, I guess it depends at what stage, and I can go back to the first box of sneakers that ever opened. If we want to start there, because that's really where it started, or the first pair of sneakers that I ever saw on someone's foot that blew my mind.
Which was?
The Air Jordan 8.
Ooh. Okay.
The Air Jordan 8 at the time. And it's funny, I don't know if I've told this story plenty of times, but I don't know if I've ever told this part of the story. The first time I saw the Air Jordan 8 was actually on the feet of a girl. It was, and I was young. It was a young girl. We were all young, and she blew my mind with the Air Jordan 8s that she was rocking. That was the first sneaker that I was absolutely relentless in bothering my parents to get. There had been sneakers before, the Nike Air Huarache, the runner, not the basketball sneaker, the Reebok Pump. They all came around at the same time. These were sneakers that I really wanted. But when I saw, her name was Erica, when I saw her rocking this pair of sneakers, I was like, you can't tell me no more. Like, this is the one that we're gonna get. So that's where my love of sneakers started, and that seed grew into where I'm at today. I hooped throughout my youth, which is obviously a very big driver in cultivating a love of sneakers. So playing basketball throughout junior high school, and college, I always wanted to look fresh on the street, but also on the court. I was always a big believer in look good, play good. You know what I mean? So if you have a fresh pair of J's on, or at the time Air Max Up-Tempos or Flights, you were gonna hoop good. And then went to college, and after college, took a couple of odd jobs. I wouldn't say odd jobs, but jobs that I wasn't really interested in more the corporate sense, because I went to business management school and they pushed you towards companies and firms that don't even exist anymore, like Arthur Andersen and places like that. You know what I mean? It's like you got to go work in finance or accounting, and I can care less about that. Even though I went to business school, I was not interested in that. So, getting back to where it all started, one day I'm laying in bed after working, a couple jobs in the corporate field, and I said to myself, I'm going to start a sneaker site. It was really just that simple. And this is February 2006. I said to myself, I'm going to start a sneaker site. And the reason why I did that was because I felt that there had to be, and this is before Twitter, it's before Instagram, it's before YouTube, that there had to be millions of people just like me that had an intense passion for sneakers. And I was copping sneakers probably 3 or 4 times a week at that point. And I wanted to talk to those people, and I wanted to give those people a voice and insight into whatever I could possibly open for them to see. Because I was living I have always been living in New York, and New York was always considered as a mecca for sneaker culture. And I was very entrenched in the culture, knew all the right people, knew all the right places, grew up in places like A-Life and North and Supreme and so on and so forth. Spent so many years in those places. I said, you know what? There has to be millions of people out there that want to see what I'm doing. And I want to share my love for sneakers and the culture, not just the sneakers. It's very important to me that it was always about the people, not the product. It's always about the people, right? I could care less about the actual sneaker, to be honest with you, as long as I look fresh, but it's actually about the people. It's very important to me, and I'm sure we can come back to that. It's always about the culture, not about the products. And I wanted to share the people and the culture, and by extension the products, with everyone else, anyone that I possibly could. So that's kind of the long story, I guess I could make longer, but that's the long story of how I got my start that led to a myriad of things after that, and why I'm here right now today.
All right.
I'll say I would going to school. I graduated from Oregon State, which is in the right backyard of Nike, which I really come out with. I was born and raised in California, so going from Los Angeles to Oregon was more of a cultural shock. I didn't even think about the benefits of being in the backyard of Nike, and obviously our rival school of Oregon, and they get all the money. But even still, I just never connected myself to shoes. I never could afford them, so I always just blocked it out. It wasn't even an option for me. And so I just went through that, graduated school, did a few things within concert booking companies, worked at Enterprise Bar, quit that job, jumped to Florida, went to Full Sail University where I started to do my master's. In the process of that, found out I was having a son, so we moved back to Oregon, which is where my lady was from, to be with family. It hit me that I wanted to work for Nike out of nowhere, I don't know why. Applied for every job, janitor, cafeteria, senior director, whatever it was, no love. And the only call I got back was for a part-time position in a retail store. Hopefully I took it. And I think I can connect it back to riches. It was about the people, it was about learning the culture. I knew that whatever I did for Nike was going to be successful, but it was important for me to know who the consumer was. It was important for me to know from the bottom up. I needed to see it, I needed to hear it, I needed to do the transactions, all that. And so in the process of that, opened up a new store, so I met my good friend Cal Flowers, all the way in Portland. He's from New York, and this is where I met Herbert, who was part of Pencil as well. So a lot of great connections that obviously have extended back from that point. But then moving to that, jumped into administrative assistant role for the VP of Entertainment Marketing, Pam McConnell. I did that for 2 years. Learned and saw everything that goes under the sun that I think sneaker culture would very well be interested in. But it was a great learning curve for me to do that for 2 years. And another year after that, moved to LA, back home to become the assistant manager for entertainment marketing, doing film and television. It was a great time, great success, great team. Was a part of the whole Kevin Hart, Donald Hart movement. So did that, and 9 months later they asked me to come to New York to be the music manager. It's been quite a journey. I love New York, it's been great, great connections, great people. And in the process of all that, I met one of my best friends, Ego Melly, who also worked at Nike for the digital for Nike. Long story short, he quit about 2 weeks ago. I quit Tuesday, and we're doing our own thing now. It's no disrespect to Nike, it's just we have bigger dreams, and we're not afraid of them, so we started our own company, Better. It's called Better. It's a creative innovation agency that we touch any and everything. So obviously from footwear to high-end partnerships, because we figured out the matrix, and now we're just really excited to bring that matrix down to culture, jubilate energy in the culture, and not be robbed of it anymore. So.
So a big round of applause for just keep it nice. So this is home for me. I'm from New York, born and raised. I grew up as a kid who had an extreme love for sports. Basketball was my thing. I played. Started to take it seriously, and one thing I always paid attention to as a kid who played ball was I always felt like your footwear had to be right. Like you can not be that talented, but if you had decent kicks, you got to pass, right? So I was fortunate. I played ball. I always had fly footwear. I paid attention to the sneaker game and sneaker culture back in the 80s. So that's always kind of been a part of me, right? Sports and fashion, sneakers specifically. Much like these guys, I've done a lot to get where I am now. Prior to this, I was at an agency that worked very closely with Nike. Some of you may have heard of Game 7 Marketing. I spent 4 years there, and prior to that, I was in the personal training business. Talk about different worlds. I did that for like 7 years, and it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. Prior to that, I was in acting, so I was on Law and Order. I was in some Nike spots. I did New Balance commercials, so that was good. That was fun. But when I talk about all of these different careers and different fields I got into, one thing being young, and especially being in New York, you get distracted, right? There's so many things going on, and it's hard to stay focused, right? Because you want to be a part of everything that's dope and everything that's hot and everything that's fresh. So fast forward to where I currently am and staying connected to the culture and knowing that footwear is something that means a lot to me, I wound up at Footlocker. And the space that you guys are in now is a Footlocker space. As a consumer, as a shopper of goods, you guys go to Footlocker for transactional reasons, right? You go there, purchase whatever it was, your J's, your Audis, whatever you were buying, that's what you went to Footlocker for. This is an event space. It opened the 29th of August last year, and we've done amazing things since we've been here. The purpose of the space is really to storytell. So myself and my team, we would sit with, whether it's an Audi, a Puma, a Nike, New Balance, and Pencil, right? To really figure out how do you bring the vision to life, right? Because every time we purchase, whether it's a Pencil shoe, whether it's a Yeezy, no matter what it is, there are stories behind all of these shoes. And a lot of times those stories never get told. So we connect with the brands and say, use this space to tell your story. Use NYC 33 to bring your vision to life. So to date, we've probably done about 16 events with various brands. There are actually some faces in here who I've seen you guys in the building, attended some of the influencer events that usually happen first. And we're just getting started. We're all over the world, right? We're a global brand, 3,000 stores, and this is our first event space. And we really like the way that things are coming together. I happen to be in a unique situation, right? The role didn't exist before I came on. There was no such thing as flagship marketing, so I'm the only person in the entire company who has the title. And I basically oversee the space, right? Everything that you can think of, from working with the brands to how the space comes to life, to making sure the electrical works, making sure that there's heat when it's cold and it's AC when it's hot, right? There's nothing that I don't do, but the focus remains the same. This is about a story, this is about an experience, this is about you as consumers and you as people who live in this city to come into here and say, yo, this looks amazing, right? Nike outdid themselves, Pencil outdid themselves, Audi outdid themselves, and you have a good time. And obviously you want to we want you to consume the shoe, we want you to purchase the shoe. So this is kind of where I am now. I'm just getting started. I love the position I'm in. You know, there aren't too many who can do what I do in terms of my skill set, but you know, the beginning's here, so we'll see where it goes.
Round of applause for Antoine. So, here's an interesting question after listening to you guys' story about your journey to where you are. There's one thing that stuck out to me with each of you that I think everybody else would want to know, and that is, which job along your journey was the worst of the worst that inspired you to make the change? Anyone can answer
Yeah,
that.
Richard.
The worst of the worst. Wow. I think the last job that I had, the last like salary position job that I had before I started Kingston City, I wouldn't say it was the worst, but it definitely inspired me to make the change because it was a job in music, right? And at the time, the music industry was in a huge state of flux, and no one knew what the hell to do about the digital revolution that was coming with music. MP3s, Napster at the time, music sharing. The movement from physical to digital really, at the time, messed up the entire music industry. And I said no one knew what to do with the future. And because of that flux and because of that indecision that was going on in the industry, not knowing my position, where I was going to be the next day, was something that inspired me to own myself, own my own destiny, right? So whether music industry went belly up the next day, it didn't matter to me because I was still in business for myself. I wasn't working for anyone. So that's why this man's story right here, talking about how he just started his new venture, started a new venture with his partner right here, is a throwback to me. It makes it's inspiring me again. But it was about that. It was about owning your own destiny, and it was about not letting the external factors control what you did on a day-to-day basis. So although it wasn't the worst job I actually had a lot of fun in music marketing. It was a lot of fun. Just not the instability of it pushed me to create something highly unstable, which is to work for yourself. But at least I knew every day that I was going to be over because I controlled whether or not I was over.
Round of applause for that.
I'd say my worst job ever doesn't even connect to shoes, but at junior year of college, I went back to California, Riverside, and I was doing working at Redlands Auto Auction, so I had to like all the cars from like the Northwest on, all the dealers, they would come there, auction off these cars, and they would load them up to the back of these trucks. So it was a huge lot of cars. I built everything from a Lamborghini to a Rio, and it was amazing. It was great experience. It was in the summer of LA, so I mean, Riverside, so 102 degrees, all the seats, ridiculously hot, and I was getting paid $1 per car I moved. So whenever they buy it, go to the section it was supposed to be in, I'll find the car, I'll drive it, put it up to the truck and load it up to the back. $1 per car. I did a lot of cars, and I was completely underpaid. It was the worst boss I've ever had in my life. He lied, he stole from me, still owes me money. But it was the worst job I've ever gotten, but it was also the best job I've ever gotten because it told me I wasn't afraid of hard work. And it also told me that it's more important to like and trust who I work for. If I can't complain if I don't. So it's on me. But the biggest thing he taught me was that you get more done with sugar than salt. And I don't know how they let me taught me that, come to consider they came from him. It was definitely the worst job, but it taught me everything I need to know moving forward.
Antoine?
You know, I'll be honest, I don't think worse, right? Because the job that was probably the most challenging, and I had to make a decision to leave much sooner than I thought would probably be, I work in a place, anybody from the Bronx? So it used to be a place called Spofford, right? Which is now called, I believe, Bridges. It's been a long time, but it's basically a juvenile lockup. And I was there for about 8 months. And I took the job because I knew I had the ability to teach my young brothers that they have more to offer than being behind these walls. So it was a personal reason that I took the job. And again, not using the word worse, just the system, the government, the way that things were in place made it extremely challenging. And it was gonna be 15, 20 years before, anything changed with the system. So I had to make a decision to leave, but in being in the 8 months that I was in there, it's amazing, how much you get out of somebody, especially the young people, when you sit down and talk to them one-on-one, right? Because talking to a young person with an audience is much different than talking to a young person when it's just you and him, or you and her. They open up more, right? They're very personal about their thoughts. They explain to you, why they committed the crime that they did. Sometimes especially in my situation, I didn't want to know what they were in there for because I didn't want my perception of them to change, but they felt like explaining and telling me exactly what they were in for. Some of the crimes were shocking, right? We all sit and watch the 11 o'clock news or whatever it is, and you hear about, the gangs and how the violence just kind of runs rampant. And back then, I think it was worse than what it is now. But I knew I had a bigger purpose for being there, and I loved every minute of it. But there really was no growth, right? And that's always been my thing. Like anything that you choose to do, how do you grow from it, right? You never want to stay stagnant, right? You always want to look deeper, think bigger, dream bigger. And that really wasn't a situation where I could say I could make this a 10-year career. But those 8 months that I was there, I made an impact. So much so, I'll tell you a quick story. I was in the Bronx, I was over on, I think about 3rd Avenue. And I might have just been shopping for some kids, as I do. And I heard somebody yell, Mr. O. Now, first name is Antoine, my last name is Orr, but nobody refers to me as Mr. O. And when I kind of thought back, I was like, well, that might have been one of the youngsters that, was doing some time. And I turned and he looked at me and he was like, oh, you remember me? And I had to think, and I was like, yeah, I do. I can't put the face with the location, but I do. He was like, I was locked up. And he was like, look, I stopped you because you may not remember, but while I was there, you and I had one of those nights where we talked and, you gave me some advice and you motivated me. You told me that I can do more and I can do better. And when I got out, I took that advice. And at the time, he was in school, he was doing well, his life was on track. So, I think for that, again, it was a personal decision that I made, but while I was there, it was a good feeling. So again, I don't want to call it my worst, but that was probably the most challenging one that it's tough. That's a tough environment to be a part of.
Wow. Round of applause for that. So, one of the words I heard used was tools. You said it gave you the tools to kind of, sharpen and move forward and be equipped to move forward. So I'm going to go with that theme with this question because of where you guys are today. And it always takes tools to build things. You can build by hand, but it still takes some kind of tools. So considering where you are and where you intend to go, what kind of tools do you guys currently possess that you feel are pushing you towards your future goals?
For me, I would say, I think I would describe to one of the biggest pieces of advice that I've received was from a man named Byron Merrick, who is pretty high up at Nike. At the time, he was a senior director of innovation when I first met him while I was working at the retail store. And I saw him every time he came in, and I finally asked him to sit down with him and just pick his brain. And I was expressing my desire to get to campus and move on and figure the next move out. And he just told me, added to that, he said, you always got to keep adding to your tool belt. Despite where you want to be, despite where you deserve to be, you got to keep adding to your tool belt. So whatever tool you can use, you never know when you're going to use it, when you're going to need it. And in the process of that, I started adding, figuring out where my tools came from. And it was faith, family, direction, understanding, obedience, empathy, compassion, people. There's so many tools that I think that we all lean on and we may not even realize that we're using. But if you stop and look, you might realize you might have some serious wear on a few of those tools. That can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what tool you're using. But I would say for sure, family, faith are my two biggest. That's everything.
I would say, I guess the most important tool, the biggest tool that I've added to my tool belt is relentlessness, right? But not in an annoying way, because you could be annoyingly relentless, but relentlessness in the pursuit of excellence. And I don't care what it is I'm doing. I don't like losing in rock, paper, scissors. You know what I mean? So it's just a relentless pursuit of trying to be the best or do the best job that you can possibly do no matter what you're doing. When I started KingstonCity.com, like I said, there was nothing like it at the time, and I still don't think there ever was or ever will be, just because of the way the space changed. I was by myself. It was a one-man operation, so it was either do or die. It was all on me at that point. So in order to survive, and in order to have the next day and make money, because it's a business, I had to be relentless in my pursuit of excellence and being the best website that could possibly be out there. A relentlessness in creating the best content that would be out there, whether it was pictures or written or video or anything, just a relentlessness in just trying to do the best and trying to provide the best service possible that I could possibly do. I could tell you stories about, on my wedding day I was working. So I'm getting married at 12 o'clock and 11 a.m. I'm posting on my site. Yeah, so.
Still married after that?
She knew. I'm taking one step further. On my honeymoon, I'm posting from my phone on the beach. Right? That's the type of relentlessness and drive and dedication that I feel that you need no matter what you're doing. That type of drive and dedication and commitment will lead to success, period. It's not that type of, that's OD, but just that dedication will lead to success, period, no matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what your passion is. If you can bring about that type of dedication and relentlessness to just go all out, you will be successful. The second one, and it goes back to, and it's a unifying statement, I think, amongst all three of us here, is a connection to the people and the culture in the industry or in the culture that you have a passion for. A man who said that he started in retail, right? In Nike, yeah. I started in retail too, and a lot of people ask me, if they're trying to get into the sneaker industry, where can I start? Retail is a great place to start, let me tell you. The job itself is not glorious, and you're gonna have, especially nowadays, a lot of people on your back asking you for hookups. But it's a great place to learn about people, and learn about culture, and learn about humans. right? Because, as I said earlier, if you have a connection and you always put people first, you're gonna get further than if you put anything else first. Product or anything. If you put that first, you're not gonna get further because you gotta deal with people at the end of the day. So my ability to understand people and talk with people and to navigate culture successfully because I'm impassioned by the culture that I operate in is very, very important. So it goes back to what I'm saying, people always ask me, where can I get my start? I do suggest retail. It's not glorious, you know what I mean? But it'll get you in touch with the people, and it could also lead to that relentlessness and drive and dedication to servicing the people, being the best damn salesperson on the floor and moving up. All that together, if you can bottle that up, I'm telling you, you can go anywhere.
There we go.
Yeah, dope. So, just to kind of almost echo what Rich said, look, biggest gem that I'm probably gonna give you automatically is gonna be your surroundings, right? Like, you have to be mindful of the people you are around on a daily basis, right? Like, if you see me someplace, know that the person to the right or to the left of me, that person is meaningful, right? I'm at a point in my life where I need to be around people who are thinking outside of that so-called box, right? People that are thinking forward, people that are thinking big. I got a quote on my IG that says, "Don't tell me what you hate, tell me what you hate with it." Right? I'm more concerned about the people around you. And how do you maintain those relationships, right? And how do you build? I think sometimes people want to be a part of the scene, or they want to be a part of a certain moment in time, but if you're not doing all that you can to take those bits and pieces from all these people, all these situations, or moments in time to kind of benefit you and to help you get to where you ultimately want to be, right? Everybody in here wants to be successful, all right? Many of us are, right? And you don't want to be in a situation where the person to the right of you is not thinking as forward as you are. The person to the left of you doesn't want to grind and get up at 6 a.m. and make things happen, right? Don't waste time, right? Make things happen continuously. I made a promise to myself kind of as I went along in my career. I started looking at the hours in a day, and I wanted to see how many times was I being unproductive throughout that day. Now, I'm not saying that, we all love to sit on your couch and watch the game and drink or smoke or whatever it is that you do to kind of relax, but how much of it is just really being unproductive? And then when you make a decision to be productive, who you bring it with you? Right, I'm all about team, right? I played college basketball, I played high school basketball, so my mentality is like we all win together. Right, we all lose together too, but when you lose, you learn from your mistakes and you build upon it. So I'm all about the people that are around me. And kind of piggyback off of, what Jonathan says, is family, absolutely. I'm a dad. I got 2 unbelievably beautiful twin boys. And Dwayne and I, and Sean and I, we were just talking about the foundation is being laid now. There's no waiting. Right? And for them, I'm mindful of who they're around at that tender age, right? Because you got kids that when you see them acting out, right, they're being taught that or they're seeing those things happen. And I don't want my kids to be subjected to that type of stuff. So it's all about the people you're around and who you can learn from and what decisions you make from that.
So that was a good buzzword to kind of harp off. That's also, one of the pencil attributes is, being able to, 3 things I heard: time management. I heard being able to assess people and, without saying, even manage relationships.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there was one relationship that was probably the most important that got you guys on the path that you were on and probably to the position that you're at right now. And that's the relationship with yourself. So, with that being said, anyone can jump in and answer this question first. What was that decision process and assessment process like for you when you decided to get to the position that you're at now? What was that night before? What was that week before where you said, I think I'm gonna go for it. This is the next chapter in that book for me.
I'll say though, look, without a doubt, for everybody in this room, always bet on you, right? So I look at everybody, even in the company, we're a big company, right? I feel like I can do their job better than them, and that's just a thought process, right? So when you talk about, obtaining this position and trying to maximize it and being the best at what I do, it's ultimate confidence in knowing the task at hand is just a task. I'm gonna get it done, right? It's the belief, it's the inner belief, right? And you see something, right? Everything is attainable. It's the steps you take to get it, right? So in wanting to be here, right? This is a brand new space, this is a new venture for a multi-billion-dollar company. I wanted this, so I needed to do things to make everybody who is kind of those decision makers at the VP level, the senior VP level, understand, like, nobody's better at what I do than me, nobody. And that's the mentality, whether it's factual or not, I'm willing to go toe-to-toe with the competition in any facet of my life, right? So there's a fine line between being overconfident and being confident knowing that you can really get the job done. So days and weeks going into this, it's just an inner belief, man, and saying, I don't want to wake up 2 days after I get the job or start the company or a week or a year and start hating what I'm walking into every day. If you start waking up in the morning and you like, man, get out.
How many people have been there? Raise your hand if you've been there.
It's not for you, and truth be told, it's a slow death, and we've all been through it. But as you progress and you go along in your career, those things need to happen less and less and less, almost to the point where it doesn't, right? Like, you're meeting everybody to the office, right? You put in the long hours, because at the end of the day, that's ultimately what it takes.
I already told the story about how I started KicksandStay.com. I was laying in bed and was like, I was going to do this based on what I was working for. But there was a turning point when I started KicksandStay, when I was doing KicksandStay.com, where I made a very, very bold play based on the future. That, looking back at it now, I was way ahead of my time. Still catching up to it, but in deciding that I'm going to make this bold play, it changed my life basically. Because I could have just been, KicksandStay.com just could have been in any regular old sneaker blog that's here today, gone tomorrow. But what I decided to do in 2007 was bet on a very, very new company called YouTube, right? YouTube, I believe, was founded in 2007, 2006, and I funded my site in 2006. So YouTube came about, and it was a video platform. It wasn't a video sharing platform. YouTube back in the day was super bare bones. It was like just a video site, right? No one knew what it was. No one knew what they were doing. Nothing. It was just a place for video.
It was a wilderness.
It absolutely was. It was no strategy. It was just like, we're going to make a site for video. Obviously, you know where YouTube is now. I don't have to tell you that story. But from KicksandStay.com, I made a bet, and I said, this YouTube thing, this is going to be dope one day. I'm going to hop on this YouTube thing. So I saw the future, and I said, this is the future of content. It's not written, it's not picture, it's video. It's putting video in people's, at the time, their laptops and their desktops, whatever, and eventually now their phones and their watches, it doesn't even matter where it is, at this point with glasses, is video. So I made that leap. That was the bet I made. So when I made that bet, I had developed some relationships in the sneaker industry by way of KicksandStay.com at brands, right? So I knocked on virtually every brand's door. Like, listen, There's this YouTube thing, right? Sounds silly now. Is video is the future, right? Send me some of your product, and I don't want it to keep it, because I don't need it. I buy my own sneakers. Send me some of your product, I'm gonna create sneaker videos, right? At the time, I swear to you, these people looked at me like I had 20 heads. They were like, what is YouTube? What's a sneaker video? What are you talking about? No. That's simple. I don't even know what you're talking about. So my answer to you is no. I knocked on, I kept on knocking every door. Listen to me. This video thing is the future. It's not like I was selling YouTube. It wasn't even my thing. But I was like, this sneaker video is the future. Let me make videos with your sneakers in them. And they were telling me no. So, and I'm glad Dwayne's here because he probably knows who I'm about to speak about. One person actually listened to me. Her name was Danusha. You know Danusha, Dwayne?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's back.
Yeah, she was back. So Danusha at the time was the PR public relations manager for Jordan brand, right? And of all the people to actually listen to me, it was Jordan brand. You would think that they don't have to listen to me at all because they don't have any problem selling their product. She was like, I believe you. I believe what you're telling me. I believe in what you're saying. I know that you can speak intelligently about the product. Never forget the email she sent me. I know you can speak intelligently about the product. I'm going to send you some stuff. It'll be here this weekend. So I asked her for maybe 3 or 4 pairs of sneakers. She sent like 30 pairs of sneakers, right? So now I got 30 pairs of sneakers. I wasn't planning on having 30 pairs of sneakers. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know what I was selling it though. But so I got the 30 pairs of sneakers, and my friend and I, we built the set in an empty warehouse. And we put a camera on a tripod and we started video. Sean knows what I'm talking about. So, this was called the KATC style at the time. So, the long story short about that was making that bold play then led to, and making that decision to be like, this is what I'm gonna do, I see the future, I'm not gonna stop knocking on doors until someone listens to me, it brought me to where I'm here today because that led to me working for Nike, working for Jordan, doing their videos, right? So since I was the first person to do video and the first person to get it done right, when Nike and Jordan and Footlocker and Eastbay were ready, and Finish Line, were ready to do their videos, they were like, get rich, because he knows what we don't know, and he knows how to get it done. So today, like I said in my SoleCollector and Complex, it's the same company. Complex now is a video-first company. This is 10 plus years later after I made a bet on YouTube. So making that bet and that decision 10 years later is still paying off, 10 years before, is still paying off for me now, because as Complex has turned into a video-first company, I'm there. Because I did it. I started it 10 years ago. So who else, but me to help guide that strategy into the future? So it goes to what Antoine was saying, if you really believe in something, bet on yourself. And don't stop knocking on the doors until someone opens it. Someone will open that door. If you keep on knocking, someone's going to open the door eventually.
Or kick that bitch down.
Yeah, or you kick it down. Something's got to happen. Or you can take the door off the hinges and walk away with it and be like, you're going to listen to me. So once you've made a decision, as linking back to Sean's question, once you've made a decision, that belief that this is what I'm going to do and this is it, you bet on yourself and you keep on knocking until someone opens the door. But the caveat to that is, once someone opens that door, you better be ready to step through it. Because you came all that way, knocked on every door, the door opens. If you're not ready to step through it, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a strategy, or at least some kind of concept as to what you're going to do once that door opens, you might as well not knock on any doors, because you're going to play yourself. So going back to what Sean says, once you've made a bet, once you've made a decision, once you bet on yourself, once you've knocked on the door, once the door opens, you got to be ready to step through it. And that was 10 years ago, and I'm still walking through that same door 10 years later.
All right. You guys, don't be afraid to raise your hand and ask a question and develop anything. We want you guys to kind of give some, spontaneous life to the conversation. Don't be afraid. We're on this level, eye level right here with you so that the connection is there, So if you feel it, ask it. I'll come over to you. So, sorry, go ahead.
No. I think piggyback on what Rich and Antoine said, I think it's important to realize that it's most important to bet on yourself. I think that's what we all obviously chose to do, and I'm sure you guys do it every day. You may not realize how much, but the harder it gets, the weight it goes higher. This is very important to realize that. So that just means somebody else is betting against you. So there's more than one card holder at the table. So like Rich said, be ready to step through the door. I know for me, specifically the reason that helped me jump and put all in on myself. This holiday break, I can never get days off, ever. Like there's no finish line. I tell people all the time.
Did they make a t-shirt?
Yeah, I literally tell people to put down a t-shirt. So there's no finish line. They really mean that. And in the process of that, over holiday break, I was able to spend 2 weeks at home, really. And it was the first time the longest I've been home in a while, the first time I've been home like that. And I have a daughter. Ended up having a daughter at the same time I got the promotion to come to New York. So in the process of having a daughter and being out here for this almost a year now, and so forth and so on, I realized that I've been gone for this entire year. I haven't been raising my kids. I feel like I've been raising the brand more than I've been raising my children. And I think that was the biggest pill I had to swallow in regards to getting my priorities straight. And in the process of that, God has shown me amazing people, amazing connections, and obviously the extra add-on to trust myself and believe in myself and know that what we were already doing, it's not that difficult, and it really isn't if you're that hungry. I tell people all the time, if you're hungry, you'll find a meal. And obviously, connected with Echo, we vibe in the same boat. We knew how talented we are. We knew we were losing a lot of energy, and that day to day, we're getting that sour stomach feel of going to work. And now we have the opportunity to create something in ourselves, and create something for others, and create things that we believe in, and stand up for things that we believe in, instead of falling under a corporate umbrella. So all comes back to faith and family for me, my favorite tools.
Go for it.
My name is Byron Stewart, currently in social media at Jimmy Jackson. So I just wanted to just ask you guys a question. More in the retail and also the digital landscape. So everything always constantly changing as far as trends or whether it's product and different things happening in technology or just in social media and retail. How do you guys work to stay relevant amongst your demographic, amongst your customer base? What do you do? How do you keep your ear to the streets? Like, what do you guys personally do in each of your industries and business?
I'm glad this is a great question. And to answer your question, I'm going to talk about different time periods. When I started 10 years ago, the way to keep your ear to the streets was literally to be in the street. Sneaker culture existed in the street, not on your phone, not on Instagram, not on Twitter, YouTube, wherever. Sneaker culture was in the street. So at that time, I was in the street, not hustling or anything like that, but I was in the street, going from sneaker shop to sneaker shop, all day, every day, talking to the people again about the culture. That is how in 2006, 2007, you remained relevant, remained ahead, and knew how to navigate the culture by being in the street. Maybe I'm old school, but I still think in 2017, there's still a room for that. If not, there needs to be, right? There's only so far you can get by liking a picture on Instagram or by retweeting someone or even DMing someone. There's only so far you can get. You have to actually connect with a person physical. It doesn't have to be physical, like face to face. It could be FaceTime, whatever, but a phone call, something to connect with the people. Because the people, when you're asking, is like, how do you remain relevant in the culture? It's made of people, so you have to connect to the people, not to the device, not to the technology. So you're talking about social media. Social media is a platform to connect with the people, if you're using it correctly. So I feel that to remain relevant and to remain ahead, you have to know what the people are doing. You can use social media and Instagram to follow people and see what the people are doing, but at some point you have to connect with the people. It can't always be voyeuristic. It can't always be watching. At some point you have to be participating. You have to be doing. Because if you're watching, you're going to be watching forever. So I do feel that in order to remain relevant ahead of the curve, you have to connect in some real way with the people and let that then determine the strategy that you have for social media. Don't go the other way around. Don't start at social and think about how you're going to change the people, how you're going to affect the people. Start at the people and figure out how you're going to change social media.
Yeah, so I'll be quick. I mean, Rich really nailed it, but yeah, he did. One of the things I remember back when I was at the agency, there's so many, especially in this city, right? There's so many things going on, and some of the things are happening at the same time. You can't be everywhere all the time. I remember working on a budget. I used to just put in the budget my own street team. And I used to just pay kids. I need you to be here. You need to tell me what the vibe was like. I need you to go here. I need you to tell me what the energy was like. All report back to me. Let's talk about it. Like, what are people talking about? What are people wearing? And then take that information and then do my own research, right? I think a lot of times we fail at doing that, right? Research, sit there, jump on the net, connect with various people and see what the buzz is, right? Not even only in here, you get jaded because, if you're from New York, New York is everything, right? Cali, or whatever, Chicago, right? But there's other places, right? Globally, that's popping, right? This trend setting, may start here, but there's other amazing people and groups and blogs and things that are just happening, and you just gotta find your way, right? We talk about that time, I talked about earlier about being productive, right? Those times in which you're not actually working your physical job, right? Being productive is trying to figure out what's the pulse of the city, what's going on, what's new, what's up and coming, who's undiscovered. I worked with a guy in this space a couple of weeks ago. He's not new, but he's in the fashion world. His name is Todd Hunter. And I just picked his brain. We met for the first time. I don't know if you guys know he was Beyonce's stylist. Been in the game for a long time. We were just chopping it up. Just talking. I was kind of seeing how he moved and paying attention, right? And as you pay attention, you do your homework. You'd be surprised what you get.
I can't even say any better than that. He nailed it on and he just took it with him. So, I think they have expressed a great point. Like I said, it's talking to people. Everything is talking to people. They have what we call the maxims, and I think it's the pinnacles of which we fall in line with direction and innovation and things like that. And one of the maxims that stuck out to me the most is the consumer decides always. Period, point blank. It doesn't matter how cool the shit is, it doesn't matter how bad it is, the consumer always decides. And the consumer isn't just the person that's using their credit card or dollar value to get the product, it's the influencer, it's still a consumer. The person following on social, but they may not buy, but they're still a consumer. Everything is, it always ties back to people. So you know that you can't lose, in my opinion.
Hi, my question is for the gentleman in the middle. Thank you. That's kind of key to start your own business. And I'm trying to start my own business. And I wanted to know what exactly was the point where you said, I'm going to leave, whether it's 9 or 8, I'm going to leave this job to start my own business. We all got bills, or we got houses and car notes that we need to pay. So what exactly was that moment when you said, I'm going to leave this paycheck, this steady paycheck, to go out and start this business?
100%. I think it's a hard job. I got 2 kids, and we moved from LA, so I'm the only income for the house. And in the process of that, I was the most invisible person in the house, and I was the most unhappy person in the house when I was home. All that meant I was just putting more wager on myself to better myself, and I think it got to the point where it's like you put up or you shut up at this point. It's nothing's ever going to fall in line the way it's supposed to, and I tell people all the time, especially in conversations with friends, is the higher you get up in anything, the bigger the spoon gets of the serving you have to serve, whoever you're serving. Like if you want to do promotion, you got a bigger spoon. They're hungry. You got to serve more. You got to serve more. You got to, and it starts in college. You got student loans. That means you're already behind on the debt. So you got to jump and start getting a few spoons and a few servings. Now you want to get a house. Now you want to get a ring. Now you want to have a kid. Like the whole time, it's the whole system is meant for you to fall in line, get less creative, be more fearful of the next paycheck. And I just got tired of it. And I said, to hell with that. It's too much to life. There's too many places I haven't seen. There's too many things that I haven't been able to witness. And in the process of that, it's a jump. It's a fear. Rich said it too. It's a jump. It's a fear. But I'm more afraid of falling than I am flying. That makes sense.
Hi, my name is George. On Instagram, I'm King James, Rick James. I have a few questions for you guys real quick. Well, two-part question. One is, where do you see the brick and mortar industry going in terms of retail being affected by the online business? Because right now, many of the hot releases you end up not even seeing and just purchasing before they actually even make it to stores, or you can actually hold them in hand. So where's that model going, the retail model? And the other question is, with the oversaturation of product that's out right now, when does the consumer at any point says, I had enough, or I want more bang for my buck? And is that point coming? Do you see it coming, or do you see it being affected anyway? Just because of the balloon that it is right now, will that last forever, and when will that change?
Off the last question, it just hit me, because that's essentially the stuff that I was doing previously, is that delivering that energy. And I think to where you're going with it, it's bigger, more bang for your buck is now becoming the idea of the experience. So it's not necessarily, if you want it now, that whole feeling of I have it now, of buying it, whether it's online or if it's in the store the first thing in the morning, now companies are realizing there has to be an experience to it. And the experience doesn't necessarily mean that somebody here is skipping and jumping in the shoes to show you how cool they are. It can be something that's in the packaging. It can be something that's a call to action on social. It can be something that makes you feel a certain way about your product or your product 2 months from now. So they're really trying to figure out ways to incorporate experience into that. Within comes packaging, within comes influencer engagement, within comes influencers rocking the product and telling you to go buy it. It's all part of an experience that I think companies now are really realize that they have to deliver now at this point.
I guess I'll take it in the steps I used. The first one was about physical, right?
Yeah, the brick and mortar space is how they will be affected by online.
Right. So, if you haven't realized it, I live in the digital world, but I'm super analog when it comes to the way I would like things to be. I hope that physical spaces never die just because they bring people together. You need a space for people to come together. You can only exist in physical form in a space. So that's why I also want to thank Antoine for creating this space, because because culture doesn't exist anymore the way it used to in spaces. It's nice to have a space where culture can exist, which is what's happening tonight. So my opinion on that is, or my selfish opinion on it, is I hope physical brick and mortar spaces never die. Because there will be no place for us to exist anymore, physically. Will they die? Again, I hope they don't. Will they die? That's for people who are paid to make decisions about that to answer. So I'm not going to answer them no better than I do. The next question you asked, well, it's like a three-part question. The second one was about a bubble bursting, right? Or it was part of the question. I got asked that question 10 years ago. I got asked that question 5 years ago. I'm getting it asked again tonight. The proverbial bubble has never burst in the 10 years that people have been asking that question. So with that trend of a bubble not bursting in the 10 years I've been asked that question, I'm going to say that it's not going to burst, and here's why. It's because the ecosystem is constantly evolving to prevent it from bursting, right? If you haven't figured that out yet, I'm going to let you know a little bit about the matrix now. Once the bubble's about to burst, something happens so that it doesn't, right? Whether naturally or man or created by man. So for instance, the bubble was on the verge of bursting not so long ago, and then Kanye West came along, right? And Kanye West was like a gift from God to the sneaker industry, basically, in that he changed the culture, right? Whether you want to give him his props or not, or they don't give a damn. I'm going to tell you that he changed the culture, he changed the paradigm, he changed business, right? Because Nike, and I'm sure John says this, was the top dog, and it's still top dog, but they didn't really have anyone to look back at. There was no one in their rearview mirror, right? Kanye West comes along, signs with Nike, leaves Nike, goes to Adidas. Now, Nike has someone to look back at, right? So the bubble deflated a little bit because now we gotta fit Adidas in there. I see a lot of Adidas on people's feet, I see Yeezys on people's feet, NMDs and so on and so forth. 5 years ago when you asked me that question, there wouldn't have been an Adidas sneaker on anybody's foot in this place, maybe mine, right? Because I'm from Queens, so I can wear, I can say I can rock Adidas for one time. But there wouldn't have been an Adidas sneaker on anybody's foot in this room 5 years ago, period. So, the bubble didn't burst because Kanye West came along and saved that bubble from bursting, right? Kanye's bubble is going to burst at some point. That's just what's going to happen. It's a cyclical nature. But then something else will come along, and it'll keep on going. This is just the way evolution works and the way business works. There's a lot of smart people, and Dwayne mentioned this, I'm not saying that I'm a smart person, but Dwayne mentioned this, that you don't ever see or hear about or talk to, whose job it is to prevent that bubble from bursting, and they're doing a really good job at that, right? Bringing Kanye into Adidas from Nike was the smartest thing that any sneaker brand has ever done since Nike stole Michael Jordan from Adidas in 1985, right? I'm not going to equate the two, but in terms of business sense and pushing things forward and preventing the bubble from bursting, that is the second most important thing, in my opinion, that has ever happened to the sneaker culture. First was Michael, second was Kanye West. No, they're not the same person. No, I'm a Jordan head, so I'm never going to equate the two, but you got to respect his contribution to what's going on. The third part of your question was the bubble bursting in the physical space. There was something else that, demanding more. I'm just gonna piggyback what he said. It's not so much demanding more like I want better leather, I want like tougher laces, or I want more air or more boost. It's not about that anymore. It's absolutely what Antoine's doing, and I'm gonna let him take over from here. It's an experiential play in providing customers added value through things that you can't get like in a sneaker box, but you can get from what Antoine said.
So I won't dive too much into what our retail strategy is, but I will say that we're building, and we are a global brand, and in being a global brand, you continue to build globally. This space in which you guys are all standing in is unique because it's an extension of our retail space, and like Rich mentioned, this space offers added value because for a lot of you, you now have an opportunity to become a part of the storytelling experience and then go purchase the shoe. Now whether, that ultimately makes you make that decision, that's completely up to you, but the world in which I live in is storytelling and it's experiential, right? It's making sure that the consumer walks through these doors and they get an experience here unlike any other place that exists. So, you know, NYC 33.
That's my final answer.
How you guys doing? My name is Steve Muir. I'm a co-founder of Healing Souls. What we do is we collect kits and we give it to homeless, underprivileged kids.
What'd you say? You said healing?
Healing Souls. I just wanted to know, you know, we talk about the sneaker culture and consumption. How do you guys feel as collectors, being in the industry? How do you guys feel about the give back?
Well, I'm gonna start real quick. I'm not, you know, I'm gonna be careful with my words. I'm not a collector. You know, I'm a lover of footwear. Right? I think those are two different things, right? I think you got people who purchase shoes and don't wear them. I don't get that. That's not my thing. Anything that I purchase, I'm gonna rock. I don't put it in glass cases. I don't treat them like, you know, Grammy Awards. I wear them. But I think the giving back, the community aspect of life is essential. It's essential. Every single year, I look in my closet and I make a decision. How many pairs am I going to give away? And who am I going to give away to? It's important. It's important because as a sneaker lover, right, I know that I have an opportunity to be exposed to a lot of heat. But it's footwear. There's bigger issues in the world than me having 1,000 pairs of shoes in my closet. When on this exact block that we're on, if you walk from 6th to 7th or from 7th to 8th, you're stepping over homeless people. So it's everything. I think everybody in this room, you know, whatever you decide to give, you should always find a way to give it to people, whether it be kids or elder, whatever it is, always give back. But footwear is something that personally, you know, we as a company, we do have initiatives as well. This is the platform for me to get into what the company's initiatives are on that, but, you know, I make it my personal business to always donate shoes, definitely.
I want to say thank you. That's a great commitment to you guys. I think you're doing a very good job than us up here, because I think that's the whole point of, I think in some way, shape, or form, we're trying to reach to that point to where we can influence people to think about the people, which in turn into healing souls. I know I personally, when I first had a Nike had samples still on campus. It was like the first one I went to, I heard it was like, yeah, it's $10 per shoe. It's like a whole room full of shoes that Kyle knows, and Trevor knows. Like, it's ridiculous. It's one of the best ones in the world. Wayne knows.
Only if you wear a size 9.
Yeah, size 9. And sometimes there's a lot of size 9s, but for the most part, you get lucky every now and then. But I remember the first time I went, I bought about, I had to get a truck. I bought about, I can't remember. I bought about probably 6 boxes from the ground to this high of footwear. And they were $10 a pop. And that was only because I wanted to donate them to the kids in Portland, the youth group. When they found out that was the purpose and the goal, they gave me 3 more boxes. So that wasn't a direction from a purpose of we want to donate shoes. It was just the people that I connected with understood what I wanted to do and to do it. I think I'm not a collector at all. I've definitely given away more shoes than I have. I stick to the same shoes most of the time, just because I got tired of it. I couldn't keep up. It's too expensive for me. But I'm always looking to give, and I think off the jump I'm going to be moving, so I got to connect with you and give you some more footwear, but I got a bunch of shit.
I kind of feel like Antoine was telling me throughout this whole thing, talking about like people buying 2 sneakers, treating them like Grammys or whatever. Guilty, but at the same time, I wear myself. I do collect sneakers. I have way too many sneakers still. At one point, I've had over 1,000 pairs of sneakers. I don't anymore, thank God. But to your point, there's a one of those reuse bins at Reuse New York, whatever it is, in my building, and I make it my duty to go down there a couple times a week to drop things in there. I mean, I've filled that thing up a couple times. A lot of times, the sneakers that I'm trying to put in there don't even make it in there because I'll stop and give the janitor, the port or something, or a kid might be walking by. All the kids in my building, what size are you? What size are you? What size are you? If you're size 9 through 10, which is what I wear, I got J's for you. I got anything for you. That sounds creepy now, but it's not. But it's more like I've been blessed to be able to, get sent free sneakers. I've been blessed to buy a lot of sneakers that I've worn a couple times. Still got plenty. I remember I went downstairs not too long ago to drop something in, and the garage attendant was in there. I said, "Hey, listen, man, before I throw these in the bin, do you want them?" And he looks at me and he's looking at the sneakers and he's like, thought it was like he was on a hidden camera or whatever. And he was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, do you want them?" He's like, and I was like 3 or 4 pairs of sneakers. And he's like, "Yeah, but these are brand new." I said, "Do you want them? Because if not, I'm gonna throw them in the bin." He's like, "Yeah, I want them." I was like, "Take them." Like giving back. Like I said, if you've gotten yourself to be a blessed position, and I'm not trying to be religious, but if you feel like you've been blessed somehow in your life, it's necessary, completely necessary to give back, because you gotta give back to the universe for giving you what you have. So we got to talk too, because I got some things for you. But absolutely, giving back, giving sneakers back. I coach basketball, in my neighborhood, and any of the kids need sneakers anytime. I'll bring by if I had to. I don't care when it's like. I know how important sneakers are to me, and it's a luxury to some people. To me, it's become a sick obsession, but to some people, it's a luxury. And giving back is not just sneakers; it's very important. Very important.
So this is more of like a statement leading into the question. So what I've realized is that, on the outside looking into the industry, we relate to footwear just strictly as a product, and as consumers, how you guys use that word, consumers, right? Kind of talking about us in the room. And the transition I made, from a consumer being into, seeing inside the industry, I've realized that, this is our only way to relate, right? And so this discussion is more of how do we get in, how do we, have exposure to these unconventional jobs? How do we involve ourselves in this culture that we love aside from being consumers, right? Because to piggyback on what y'all are saying, like, I used to buy shoes, but now that I'm involved in a different way, I don't even feel like I need to buy shoes. Like, I don't even see releases sometimes anymore, just because my passion for shoes is dealt with in a different way. So, like, as far as still being the consumers, and getting back on the topic to unconventional careers in the industry, I noticed you guys all kind of like created a position for yourself. Like, your position didn't exist. You are creating your own business. Like, you did the same thing. So, as far as opportunities for us who are considered consumers, like, what do you guys see as far as creating opportunities or jobs that are, kind of like being created within the industry for people that are of the culture? Like, you got some insight on that?
I would personally say there's a lot of companies that have always used culture to benefit, and now they're starting to get to the point where they're essentially having to pay for it. So I would say, if you guys obviously within the culture, you have a voice. You have something that corporate dollars are paying for, literally. Like, your day-to-day, what you decide to wear. Like, so if there's something that you think that the sneaker culture needs, or there's a certain service or a product, I wouldn't be affected. Rich is a perfect example. Like, there shouldn't be a fear to address it, because in this day and age, where everything is accessible and you can find anything, you can be heard. But you gotta have the relentlessness within that and the idea of bettering yourself. Because I'm telling you right now, literally, if you put together an idea and a plan and it's legit and you're behind it, somebody will look into it and somebody will take you serious. But they will never take you serious if you don't take yourself serious. And it's a hard jump. It's obviously the fear of saying no of something that you're passionate about. That shit sucks. But it also gives you an opportunity to let you know, like, it's one door, there's another door. But you gotta be relentless.
Yeah, I mean, I think with that, it's also, you bring up some really amazing points. It's being the ultimate salesman, right? You know, as big as a company may be, right? Companies are always looking for new and fresh and innovation. And as much as you guys may think companies and certain people do know, there's a lot in which they don't know, and they're hungry for all of those new ideas. So I think we've said it a couple times. We've had to keep hitting on this theme about, you know, betting on yourself and kind of believing in you. And I talked about it earlier about surrounding yourself, you know, with a certain group of people or you know, one or two people. I think you need to make sure that the position you put yourself in is a position that's ultimately going to get you where you want to be. Being a risk taker, you know, you left, right? You took a risk because you believed in what was next to you, right? And being in the position that I'm in, I operate a little differently than most people in the company do, just because I'm thinking differently, right? I'm not thinking any better, or I'm just thinking differently. And if I sit in a room with 5 people or 10 people or 15 people, I'm always of the mindset that the ideas in which I have in my head, there's nobody else who's thinking like this. And it may, you know, some people may not be ready for that next move, for that next idea, but you gotta sell it, right? Because if you created the idea, nobody's gonna be able to understand it the way you can explain it. You know, so it starts with you. It starts with you, no matter what platform you're on, no matter what company or what type of person you sit in front of. If there's something that you have that's unique and you feel strongly about it, let's celebrate.
I want to, before I answer your question, I just want to say, because it just hit me and I'm getting inspired again, but I just wanted to, you know, Antoine's here, Jonathan's here, I'm here, Dwayne is somewhere here, Sean is here, right? And some familiar faces in here too. And I just want to make this point before I answer the question, is that listen to OGs, right?
Right.
Listen to, let me just walk me here for a second, because I feel like a lot of the younger generations are like, he's old. You don't know what he's talking about, right? He's actually, that dude or that woman's actually experienced, right? If listen to successful OGs, not the dude in the corner that's going to sell you a dream. But it's very important to get a mentor and to not get a mentor, but have a mentor or an OG in your corner that can help you navigate easier, right? Because, you know, I've had plenty of OGs. I've always been taught you gotta respect your elders, listen to your elders, and I feel like a lot of the younger kids want to brush off older people. That's not even that much older than them, but it's just like, he's old, you don't know what he's talking about. I wish I had started listening younger. Then when it finally hit me, and I was like, yo, this dude might know what he's talking about, I should listen to him. So I just want to make that point. Like, if you have a mentor or someone who's older, listen to them for a second. They might be able to open the door for you that you didn't know existed, or help you navigate easier. Because the reason I'm saying that is because we have OGs here talking to you, so you might, a successful OGs here talking to you, so you might want to listen and don't brush off, you know, what we're saying here today, and, you know, keep that in mind moving forward. So listen to successful OGs, especially in the direction you want to move. To answer your question, I think the most important thing that is visible here today is that there's a lot of different opportunities in the sneaker industry or in any industry that you're passionate about. I was a blogger, that's how I got my start. He was a music manager, started retail, a music manager. Antoine worked in marketing, and now he's here at Footlocker. This is 3 vastly different approaches in the same space. So don't think that if you want to work in sneakers that you have to do this. Like I have to be a designer, or I have to be, any other like very prototypical sneakerhead thinking way of, career. There are many different ways to get into the career, and I've had the privilege of meeting in my career the most varied jobs imaginable. You wouldn't even know. I mean, it's just like, you do what? And it's like, yeah, I work at Nike, especially because Nike's a behemoth, and they got people who do anything at Nike, everything at Nike. No, but down to the most little, I'm sure you know, down to the most little detail. Like, really, you do that? But just don't pigeonhole yourself into thinking that I have to enter in a certain way, and then when that way or that door is closed, like I'm out. There's many different ways to get into a system. Make sure that you find the way in that fits you, and don't always go for the most obvious way, because everyone and their mother's going for that obvious way too. So think about a different way, how I'm gonna get in, and you'd be surprised that there's probably a job for that, especially at Nike. Oh, and you don't have to work for Nike either, but I'm using Nike. Like, don't think that if I'm going to sneaker industry, I have to work for Nike. There's plenty of other sneakers, independent sneakers. Dwayne got to start at Skechers, or like you wouldn't think about that, but then he decided he was designing sneakers for Michael Jordan. So don't be obvious, like, oh, I want to be in the sneaker industry, so I'm going to go design J's. No, you're not. But you might get there eventually. You're not going to start there. Trust me, I know a lot of people who design sneakers from Nike. That's not where they started. But there's many different ways to get in. Get in first and figure it out later.
Sneaker artist, we've seen this for decades, storytelling when it comes to the industry. How has it changed in the last 15 to 20 years with social media influencers coming into the scene? It's morphed, it's changed. We've seen just product being put on shelves, on athletes, not celebrities. Where was the jumping off point for that, and where do you guys see it going in the next decade?
So, as far as where I see it going, in regards to how much it's changed, I mean, Richard on the head, the whole Kanye thing, I was the administrative assistant at that time to the VP, so I saw everything. Like I saw literally everything in that transition. And I knew it was, now from the moment I first realized what was going on, I knew it was going to be a culture shock. Like not just a loss in profit for the brand, like this is a huge movement. Shift everything. Didn't even see it coming, and it just happened. So it's hard to really penetrate and say what's the next thing's going to happen, because right now it could be a kid in his basement designing a shoe that may change the entire store that we never heard of. It could be Maxwell, his shoe drops out of it. So it's like it's literally that's a big I think where we're getting now with social media is now people have voices, people now have reasons to show off and be creative and be accepted for it and have the opportunity to be rewarded for it. Biggest part of that is just stick true to it. Don't sell it short, because if it's something that people are passionate about and they want to put that much time and emotion into it. It's easy to lose track of it when the money starts coming in and the followers start coming in, and then things. When that stuff doesn't matter, then I think that's where it really counts for the shift in culture specifically.
Yeah, I mean, look, in short, it's here to stay, right? Sneaker culture, expansion, all those things is not going anywhere. And I think when you look at Pencil, when you look at Maxwell, when you look at all of the people that just have this innate ability to create and design, it's probably just the beginning. And I think you'll probably start to see a variety of different shoes in various locations, different from what we see now. So I think, there's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of change that potentially will come to the market. We just gotta wait and see. It's hard to It's hard to predict it, but that's kind of the feeling.
In terms of storytelling, since I've worked in content for the past 12 years or whatever, my whole job has been about storytelling. So I've seen the transition from, and it's unfortunate at this point, but hopefully it gets back, from like the culture, the people telling the stories, to like the brands telling the stories, right? So the brands now control the message a little bit too much for my liking personally, because it was always a culturally driven message when I was coming up. Now it's a brand driven message, and I don't like that too much. So I'm hoping that the culture can drive the message, can control the message more in the future, and be cognizant of the fact that they have the power to do so. Don't let anyone else tell you the story, per se, without your own input if you want to have input in it. Like, you know, Antoine here is guiding big brand storytelling in this space, so he's guiding, he's helping control the message that's given to the people. And through social media, through blogs, through YouTube, through whatever, you have the power to control the message. And I feel that people aren't using that power, or not taking that power seriously enough, that storytelling seriously enough. If you're part of the culture, you should be telling the story. Don't let anyone else tell you what culture is.
I got the you touched on the whole OG, right? My question is this: if you can take yourself, all three of y'all, right now, at the age you are right now, let's say you was doing whatever y'all was doing to this point, would you still go chase what y'all need to chase to get where y'all at right now?
Okay.
Oh, I want to give you a good answer. Repeat your
All three of you right now, at the age you are right now,
Yep.
go back to that job you got before y'all got where y'all was at.
Okay.
At this age, would you still go chase it?
So knowing what we know now, will we still?
I mean, you still go chase it?
Yeah.
No, not even not what you know. Let's say you didn't know, but you at this age and you knew you wanted to go do whatever you do. Would you still go chase it at this age? You were secure, the job you had, you was comfortable with the job you had, the lifestyle you lived. Would you still go chase?
Absolutely.
No, I know.
Absolutely. 1,000%. I would. I can give you a long drawn answer, but yeah, I would.
100%, without a doubt. You said a word that I don't like, and that's comfort. I don't like, I think that's, I'm not saying that it's bad that you use it, but comfort is it's bad. Comfortable will get you out of here real quick. You know what I mean? No matter, even if at your job, comfortable will get you out of here real quick, because someone will come and disrupt that, and then you'll be out of here real quick. So don't ever be comfortable, but to answer, if I can give you a long drawn out question and an answer to it, 100%, I would be very uncomfortable if I knew that I was chasing something to do.
Same. Contention is my biggest fear. I always have to figure out ways to get better. No pun intended for the company, but it's literally, that's the only mentality, and I can't cut it off. And the people who do amaze me, but it also scares the shit out of me. Like it really does. And yeah, man, I think I always say the only direction is forward. Period.
Yeah, I think in some ways I envy people who could be comfortable too. Like, yeah, that looks comfortable.
Right. But then I'd be like, yeah, that looks boring after a while. I'm like, shit, I can't do it. But I think I said, to each his own.
To each their own.
But yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately to be successful, you gotta make yourself uncomfortable along the journey. I mean, being in this space that everybody's in, and coming into this position and understanding that this is about storytelling and we were gonna work with brands and we were gonna bring a lot of things to life. The actual space itself, there are things within this space I had no idea on how to manage it, how to handle it, how to deal with it, how to connect the dots. But it was that inner belief, right? It's that betting on yourself and me saying, I got this, right? So there's never gonna be a time in which myself or the two, gentlemen next to me will ever be comfortable and not continue to chase. Not at all, not ever.
Hi, I have a question, and this goes for everybody on the panel. Based on the brand's reputation and ability to storytell, have you ever been sought out for your expertise to produce or influence product design?
Did you write that question down?
I did. I was nervous,
Yeah,
but I
that's cool. That's cool. Great question.
Yes, many times. When brands, and this has been said in the panel before by both gentlemen here, when brands know that you know something that they don't know, they want to know what that is real quick, because brands don't like not knowing this. So when brands know that you have power of influence or power of intelligence and knowing the culture better than they do, they're going to get you up in their office real quick. The caveat is to make sure that you get your money. Don't let them come up there and give you like a Diet Coke and smile until you go home and they're done. But absolutely, 100%. If you have positioned yourself in a way that they think that they know that you know something that they don't, they're going to get you up in there for everything possible. Marketing, product design, strategy, social, anything. So yeah, many times.
Are there any pieces that you think of off the top of your head that you had any input on, like any shoe or any design?
Well, brands are very good at not letting you know why you're in the office specifically. You know what I mean? They're not going to. Sometimes they'll show you a sneaker and be like, "What do you think of this?" I've done that. I went to Champs in Tampa, right? And they brought me out there to show me what they were buying in the next season. And they asked me, "What do you think of this? What do you think people are going to buy this?" So on and so forth. So they wanted my input in what they were buying. That was one way. I've gone into Nike meetings, I've gone into Jordan meetings, and they'll tell me, what are you wearing now? What's the next wave in footwear going to be? Are we looking at comfort, at high tops, at low tops, and so on and so forth, just because they know that, I'm connected to the people, I know what the culture is doing. So it's not necessarily specific. I can't say I had input on this specific sneaker, but I had input in an overall strategy for several different brands.
I have not. So.
I have. I was pretty much on the opposite side of the wall when we talking to Rich. But yeah, it's the thing is, I think the product, for the most part, products are so far out. They already have ideas and designs and everything out before anything is released that you guys are familiar with. But when it comes to where I was in the space of entertainment, so I had to work with influencers. Kevin Hart was one of the shoes that I was working on. Worked with obviously Bryson Tiller on his things going on. So it's always been a shift for me to let them tell their stories through product, which instead of having the brand tell the story of the product through the influencer's eyes. So yeah, I've had my dipples and dabbles in it. It's always fun to see it come to life, but it's also hard work to try to make sure that they're talking about the culture and the reason why, and not just trying to market a shoe.
So, final question for you guys, and we want to end this on a note where you guys actually leave the word inspired was used. Obviously, a lot of gems dropped, a lot of knowledge that was shared. One of our goals here with this experience, one of those themes was for you guys to come in and number one, see a real living example of someone actually beating the odds to be part of a story that has us here today. And what would you say, this question for all of you guys, what action words would you give to everybody here that when they leave tonight, they can take with them to get on that journey?
I would say the two words that kicked my butt when I realized that I was going to be leaving Nike, after I didn't write anything down, but I checked off in my head, like, what was I doing, what was the purpose? And the question that hit me that I still couldn't answer and it drove me to quit was, for what? What am I doing this for? Like, is it bettering my life? Is it bettering my kids? Is it bettering my health? Is it bettering my friendships? When I die, there's not going to be a swoosh on my tombstone, and I doubt they'll pay for it.
You can pay for that. You can buy that.
child. It'll come out of my check, which means I pay for it. But I think those are the two questions that hit me. I challenge everybody to ask that whenever you're doing anything, is for what? If there's not a purpose, if there's not a reason, if you don't see a goal, reassess and figure out what are you doing, why are you doing this? And I think once you realize that, you're only chasing happiness at that point.
I think the word is going to be impact, right? I love it. You walk out these doors today, obviously, we've been up here for quite some time, and the discussion has been amazing, and the questions have been amazing, and we've been giving you guys real stories from the heart, real life experiences, but what impact are you going to leave when you move on, right? So, and that if you move on to a new job, a new career, or when you're going on together, right? I believe the power is within, right? Everybody's sitting in this room, and I see some shorties running around here, which is good, because for the people that brought them, they're ahead of the game, right? They're getting information that they wouldn't get anyplace else, especially not on a Thursday night in the city. But what are you going to do with your time while you're here, right? What impact, right? I think in that same breath, you could say legacy, right? What's your legacy going to be, right? Everybody walks in this door, right? I make it a point. I meet them, I greet them, I talk to them, I let them know where they are, I let them know what the space is, what the experience is going to be. And I'm hoping that in having that kind of discussion, that you walk out and say, damn, you know what? Cool dude, man. I didn't know Footlocker had a space like this. I didn't even know that NYC 33 existed. They do some cool things. He brought me in, he made me feel at home. Right, so it's all about impact, right? What's the impact you're gonna leave with other people when they're not around you?
In terms of action words, I live by 3 words in specifically that eventually I've been saying my entire life, eventually I want to put them on my body at some point. The 3 words are patience, persistence, perseverance. So 3 P's, right? I think, if I remember correctly, Jay said this in the Black movie too, but it's patience, persistence, perseverance. Those are the 3 words that I live by. And you need all 3 of them. First, you need the patience to pick yourself up when you're down and to understand that there's going to be ups and downs, and no matter what you're doing. You need that patience. If you get impatient, you'll stop whatever you're trying to do. Quick. Persistence goes back to the relentlessness I was talking about earlier. You have to constantly be persistent. And then once you have the patience and the persistence, you will persevere. And that's why I live by those 3 action words. And if you can incorporate those 3 words into your own, whatever your own mantra is, you'll be able to go as far as you want to.
So before we wrap up, a couple of remarks. One of the things that I want to put in perspective for everybody here, with the esteemed members of the panel here, is the actual reason you were in this space tonight is, number one, was started by a conversation that Dwayne Edwards had with me and a few others about a design competition that would be the biggest thing you ever saw. And for those of you who walked in off the street, you just walked into the vibe of what's happening, please make sure you pay attention to the exhibition here of the entire experience, which started over there on that wall with over 5,500 designs, pared down to 64, then through the bracketology matrix, you guys are here listening to us today. And right beside you here is 20-year-old Maxwell Lund, whose shoes come out on Saturday as the 2016 World Sneaker Champion. That's one of the reasons we're here. And we want you guys to make sure that you soak in the experience. If it's within your economic means, somehow, please support Pencil, Maxwell, Footlocker. Thank you for powering the experience, and Antoine and those folks for providing a good platform here. But this man is 20 years old. So, thankfully, he's been put on the road a lot earlier than a lot of us.
I got sneakers over there.
I do too. I told him that.
I was wearing a pair yesterday. So, again, with these gentlemen up here on the panel representing, some of those different positions and experiences within sneakers, as probably Rick said best, don't think about that traditional means to enter, because the biggest door you try to enter through will be the hardest one to get through. Because everybody's trying to get through that door. And again, it just took a conversation. Dwayne had a conversation, but again, in his head, he said, all right, if I'm going to do a design competition, I'm going to do a big design competition. Not just something we go, oh, that was cheap. You got to think big, you got to think global. And thankfully, Maxwell's shoes released internationally on Saturday. Footlocker.com, 10 select Footlocker stores around the world, Saturday. It's an unbelievable thing for someone who said they're going to take a chance to enter a design competition. So because of him taking that risk and everybody else who participated, we're here when you think about the grand scheme of it. So that's my words for you guys. Thank you to yourselves. And for those of you who know me, I say this all the time when I look around. I know dope people. So if you're here, you're dope. There's something in you. You just gotta pull out of yourself, to make it known to everybody else. And hopefully these three gentlemen on the panel tonight, Dwayne with the World Sneaker Championship, Maxwell's story, even other people in the room, that inspires you to do the best you can do, to be one of those other people out there with an alternative story to tell. So, yes, we are here tomorrow night. Again, for those of you interested, we will have another panel discussion with some design professionals in the industry. For those of you who have that itch to create, I think the panel will be very beneficial for you to be here for. Again, it will be open to everyone. Just come on down. For those of you who are posting on social media, hashtag Pencil, hashtag Footlocker, hashtag NYC33. We might miss anything, hashtag World Sneaker Championship. There's a lot of hashtags. You know why you're here, just hashtag. Thank you, again, you guys. There was a mission to instill some life into you guys, through these words and conversation and experience, that we hope that mission was achieved. And again, we want to do that tomorrow, so by all means, please come back tomorrow. Spread the word about what's happening with the World Sneaker Championship. Because again, it's, the Pencil Footwear Design Academy is doing something that's actually changing a lot of lives. I like to use the analogy, a lot of people complain about what's happening in the music industry when they say there's no good music out anymore. There's tons of good music out. Where are you looking for it? Sneakers suck. Game sucks. There's no more culture. Where are you looking? Who are you hanging with? As Antoine said, who are you surrounding yourself with? Those are my words to you guys as we wrap it up tonight. Where can we find you guys? If anyone has any more questions, is looking for a mentor, big brothers, words of inspiration?
You can find me on Twitter or Instagram, Rich Mays Lopez on both. SoleCollector.com is my home base, complex media, obviously, as well. I just wanted to say one thing that I mentioned. I want to thank Dwayne. I know he's back there. Thank you, Dwayne, for having me. His story was unfortunately not told. I'm going to shameless plug real quick. His story was unfortunately not told tonight. His story is great. My man Amir right here put a story together for Black History Month, and Dwayne is a huge part of Black history.
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry to put all you on the spot, but I'm still going to do this anyway. Dwayne is a huge part of Black history, and it was important that we got him for this feature in sneaker culture. And Amir put that together for Soul Collector. Go to SoleCollector.com and read Dwayne's story. If you will be truly.
Yes, sir.